The BCCI top brass would be meeting in Bombay. Sources say they are discussing the fate of N. Sinivasan, president in exile. The BCCI officials consulting with lawyers on the way forward. Well, there are legal consultations on as we speak. Well, we do know that the president in exile, N. Sinivasan, still has his hopes up high of reclaiming his post as the president of the Board of Control in India, even though the High Court yesterday made it clear that he could not chair the working committee meeting that is scheduled for the 2nd of August. But we do know through our sources that Sinivasan will be attending that meeting, which has made the BCCI go into a huddle. This is the second time ever since that judgment, that observation made by the High Court, that BCCI is once again in a huddle to decide the future course of action. Our correspondent Rasesh now joins us on the phone line from Mumbai. Rasesh, it seems that N. Sinivasan is extremely adamant about reclaiming his position, but it seems that the BCCI at this point in time since yesterday has been tight-lipped. What's really going on? There have been 2 meetings as far as the BCCI officials are concerned.
Well, I think the BCCI top priority at the moment is to study the order of the High Court that has been provided and hence take the next course of action. Obviously, the legal luminaries within the BCCI in consultation with the lawyers and trying to study the order, how to take it forward. There's a meeting that is scheduled on the 2nd of August where the Governing Council is set to ratify the probe committee verdict. But of course, the High Court order, the Bombay High Court order has put the whole process in big limbo, because the High Court order clearly states that probe committee was effectively illegal and unconstitutional. There has always been a faction within the BCCI who does not want a smooth sailing for N. Sinivasan. They would want to use get the best marriage of this peculiar situation that where N. Sinivasan finds himself in, where he wants to be reinstated as soon as the 2nd of August itself. But they would want to get the best mileage of it. But the bottom line is whether these officials within the BCCI, the anti-Sinivasan camp within the BCCI, are ready to belt the cat, whether they're willing to voice their opinions within the course of the meeting and oppose the fact that what Sinivasan has been doing is not correct. That hasn't been seen so far. There was a lot of hue and cry a month ago as well when N. Sinivasan decided to step aside, but eventually no one within the meeting forced Sinivasan to resign. So I think the question that even people close to Sinivasan at the moment are raising is that as far as they are concerned, things are as per schedule, but they're looking to study the High Court order and then decide the next course of action, whether they need to go to the Supreme Court, and if they decide to go to the Supreme Court, whether that would be to challenge the order that was passed, or whether to they challenge the limited part, the operational part of the order which says that the probe committee was illegal and unconstitutional.
Rasesh, what are your sources within the BCCI telling you? What's the likelihood of the reinstatement of Sinivasan in this working committee meeting that is scheduled for the 2nd of August?
Well, as things stand, Sinivasan is defiant. He's come on record to say that he is going to be a part of that meeting, and that the due course will be followed. I've been speaking to people who've been supporters of Sinivasan, and they continue to say that as far as they are concerned, there's no change in that. The notices have been issued to all associations that the meeting is scheduled on the 2nd of August. But like I said, there has always been a faction in the BCCI who does not want smooth sailing for Sinivasan, and they look to do the best they can. I think it's also going to be important how if there are any developments on the police front as well. If the Mumbai police looks to charge sheet someone like Gurunath Mayappan, if they are ready with that, if there is any development to that extent, there would be further pressure on N. Sinivasan to not rejoin BCCI as soon as the 2nd of August. In effect, Sinivasan has been already taking a lot of the major decisions as well. Jagmohan Dalmia interestingly expressed helplessness of not knowing anything that is going on in the BCCI since the clean sheet was provided by the probe committee. So in that sense, Sinivasan has already begun to take the major decisions. But as far as his likelihood of attending the meeting and completely being reinstated as the BCCI chief, there would still be some maneuvering, I would think,
right,
in the course of the next few days, that would decide going ahead to that meeting.
Rasesh, help us understand this. So the court has come out and left it on the BCCI to order a fresh probe. If that does not happen, what next? Because if Srinivasan is reinstated during this committee meeting, wouldn't that be illegal?
But that is what is being studied. The exact text of the order is being studied by lawyers. They would need to know to understand if the decision that was given, the order that was passed by the Bombay High Court, effectively limits that probe committee wording being implemented. Probe committee wording being implemented. If the BCCI like Srinivasan yesterday came out on record and said that the writ petition has been rejected and that there is no change, if they look at it that way and understand, interpret it in a way to suggest that the Bombay High Court is not asking them to come up with a fresh probe. Purely, it's an observation that the probe committees are unconstitutional and illegal. They can still go ahead and do that. But if they decide to do that when the entire public perception and a faction of the BCCI is against that, that's the decision that Srinivasan and company have to take.
All right, Rasesh Mandani there explaining to us the road ahead as far as the BCCI as well as Srinivasan is concerned. More breaking news coming in at this point on this big story that we're following here on Headlines today. Now, sources say that the BCCI is split on the return of N. Srinivasan. We have our correspondent Suman joining us on the phone line for more. Suman, tell us more. It seems that the BCCI officials at this point are either opposing or non-committal as far as Srinivasan's reinstatement is concerned.
Absolutely. There are at least 8 to 9 BCCI members whom I talked to, and most of them are non-committal. At this stage, they are not actually coming in the open to support Srinivasan, because they are in still a fix whether what will be the final decision of the court. So they are waiting. They are also waiting for the Mumbai police and Delhi police to have its final report. So it's very unlikely that they will actually demand a reinstatement of Srinivasan at this stage. They would like to see the wait and watch policy at this stage, and also the fact that Srinivasan has in fact clearly mentioned that he will attend the meeting, but whether he attends the meeting as its chief or not, it will be very interesting to see, because on August 2nd, the working committee and the meeting, in that meeting, the governing council meeting, it will be very, very important to see in what position, position Srinivasan actually holds the conference. So whether he at all comes or not, there are many top BCCI officials who are at this stage.
But Suman, could you give us a few names? What are your sources telling you? Who are these top officials within the BCCI who are opposing his reinstatement now?
Absolutely. There are a few officials who are trying to get the legal option, whether reinstatement is the final is the right idea or not, because now they are getting flack from different quarters. So BCCI is in troubled waters, and precisely because of what has happened with Srinivasan and his son-in-law. So clearly, at this stage, I do not think whatever my sources are telling me, that I do not think the BCCI will be so keen and eager at this stage to reinstate Srinivasan, who has in fact got BCCI in trouble.
All right, Suman, thanks for joining us. Rasesh also on the phone line with us. Rasesh, coming back to you, it's highly ironical that after all that's happened, and even the court coming out and saying that this panel probe was illegal, now it seems that some BCCI officials are waking up, taking the moral high ground, and even denying this reinstatement of Srinivasan a little bit too late, really.
Well, absolutely. Like I said, there is a faction within the BCCI who do not want Srinivasan to have it as easy as they can. And then they would look to extract the best mileage of this situation that Srinivasan finds himself in. The High Court saying that the probe committee is illegal is something that they would want to highlight the fact that that leaves the BCCI in an embarrassing position. Interestingly, the interim president of the Jagmohan Dalmia, who we all along had thought was a Srinivasan man, came out on record to say that it is an embarrassing position for the BCCI. There is something cooking there. That is something that one needs to explore as well. There are various political bigwigs within the BCCI who always been opposed to N. Srinivasan as well. They would want to take a larger say as well. But like I said earlier, eventually it comes down to whether they are willing to raise their voices at the meeting, at the important meetings that have been held to discuss these issues, excepting I.S. Bindra from the Punjab Cricket Association. association,
Yes.
no one else has spoken against N. Sinivasan. Whether there is any sort of momentum building up to not allowing Sinivasan to continue to be in charge in the BCCI is something one needs to understand and explore further. But as things stand, voices, veiled voices, within the BCCI, trying to put forth a point, Sinivasan is not the man completely in charge, that it should not be, undertaken the manner in which it has. Sinivasan on his count continues to define.
Rasesh, clearly these are testing times for the BCCI, because it has to be seen now whether the BCCI officials will really stand up for cricket, or will they stand up for the tainted president in exile. Rasesh.
Oh, absolutely. There's no two ways about the fact. There is no doubt about the fact that after the, Bombay High Court order, in the public eye, the public perception, and people at large, there is a sense that, what BCCI has been doing is in complete cover-up. It's the fixed probe coming out with a verdict, giving in a clean sheet. Everything was sort of on expected lines. And, despite, it's an irony that while the Indian cricket team on the field of play is doing so extraordinarily well, the people who are manning the show, continue to carry out activities which appear to the public at large as muddled. In fact, the petition that was charging the BCCI said that this case was being fought for the public at large, and the High Court order saying that while the BCCI believes it's a private body, it is also answerable to the public, and they should take this order into account. If the BCCI, despite this, continues with the clean sheet that was provided by the probe order, then that should certainly give a very negative message across to the people who've been following the game.
Rasesh, do stay with me just to tell our viewers that yesterday, moments after the court came out with that judgment and called that entire panel probe looking into the spot fixing scam illegal, we had a word with N. Sinivasan. Let's just listen into what he had to say. Perfect example of defiance.
The only thing is, I just heard the writ has been dismissed. No relief has been granted. So I have nothing more to say.
Sir, the Mumbai High Court has said the two judges appointed.
Excuse me, I am not. You can say what you want. The writ has been dismissed.